Dr. Kamil. Is this Ganesh?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay for you? I'm going to do the blood pressure for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The patient has the normal skin color and has no visible lesions and has a proper gesture and has a self-hygiene. Did you use elevator or stairs to come here?
Elevator.
Okay. Did you do exercise or smoke or consume coffee within the last 30 minutes?
No, doctor.
Okay, the patient came here by elevator, so no need to wait for 30 minutes, just you wait for 5 minutes, okay? And the patient did consume any coffee or smoked, and for this experiment, the room should be quiet, and the patient hand should be at the heart level, and the patient leg should be placed on the floor. Sir, there is no physical for dialysis, scars from brachial artery, cutting, and lymphedema. Sir, now I'm going to place the cup 2.5 cm above from the antecubital grease. The cup size is 12 into 23 cm, which is suitable for arm circumference of 28 cm. If the arm circumference is large, it's appreciated to use thigh cup. Cup size is too small, the blood pressure value will go too high. If the cup size is too large, the blood pressure value will go to too low. Thank you. Before the procedure, I will sanitize my hand. Deflate 10 hmg per second. The blood pressure value is 120/82, which is normal.
Place his needle stand 20 feet away from the patient and ask the patient to close his one eye and ask the patient to read the chart.
E F P T O Z L P E D P E C Z D.
Then ask the patient to do the same with the other eye.
D E F P O T E C L E F C P L T C E O.
To test near vision, hold the card 14 inches away from the patient eyes.
In this case, a short capsule is used and the pull to failure the bond length is given by where capsule's diameter mm, hole diameter cannot.
Visual field test. Stand 1 meter away from the patient, then place your fingers 2 feet above lateral side to the patient ear, then start wriggling your fingers and ask the patient when they can see the moving target. For eyebrows, look for amount distribution and any lesions. For eyelids, look for swelling, edema, erythematous rim, ptosis lesion. For palpebral fissures, ask the patient to look straight and observe whether it is normal, widen or narrow. For eyeballs, observe the position of the eyeball. Lid lag test. Using pen light about 20 inches away from the moving target rapidly downward in midline, then look for sclera between iris and upper lid margin. Eyelashes, direction of growth, mating of eyelashes. Patients with ulcerative blepharitis have hard crust around the eye. Conjunctiva and sclerae. Ask the patient to look up as you depress the lower lids with your thumb. Ask the patient to look down as you pull the upper lid upwards. This exposes the sclerae and conjunctiva. Then look for palpebral conjunctiva. It is a clear membrane that coats inside the eyelids for color, congested, injected or pale. Look for any growth or edema. Cornea. With oblique lightening from the pen light, inspect for transparency or clarity, scars, abrasions and ulcers of the cornea. Iris, pupillary and lens. With light shining directly from the temporal side. For iris, assess color. For pupils, assess size, shape and symmetry. For lens, assess transparency and capacity. Pupillary light reflex. Dim the lights, ask the patient to look into a distance, shine a bright light obliquely into the pupil, then observe for the direct response and the indirect response. Flashlight test. By moving the light from one pupil to other, back and forth. To assess the accommodation reflex, ask the patient to look distance and then the tip of the nose. If any maneuver difficult, then you have to follow up the extended thumb brought towards the tip of the nose. Extraocular movements. Stand 1 meter in front of the patient. Ask the patient to look to each side, up and down in H pattern to target a pen with their eyes without moving head. Any defect, observe for nystagmus. Ophthalmoscopic examination. Using an ophthalmoscope in right hand and hold it vertically in front of your eye. Examine the disc for clarity of outer line, color, elevation and condition of the vessels and follow it back towards the optic disc. Then look up for the examination of the superior retina, look down for the inferior retina, temporally for the temporal retina, and nasally for the nasal retina.
Inspect each auricle and surrounding tissues for size, deformities, lumps, or skin lesions. If any ear pain, discharge, or inflammation is present, move the auricle up and down, press the tragus, and press firmly just behind the ear. And also note tenderness. To see the ear canal and eardrum, use an otoscope with the largest ear speculum that inserts easily into the canal. Position the patient head so that you can see comfortably through the otoscope. To straighten the ear canal, grasp the auricle firmly but gently and pull it upward, backward and slightly away from the head. The speculum gently into the ear canal, directing it somewhat down and forward and through the hairs. And also note any discharge, foreign bodies, redness of the skin, noting its color and contour, and also identify the handle of malus, noting its position, short process of the malus. Stand 2 feet behind the seated patient so that the patient cannot read your lips. Whisper a combination of 3 numbers and letters such as 3U1. Use a different number or letter combination for the other. Rini test. Place the base of the lightly vibrating tuning fork on the mastoid bone behind the ear and level with the canal. When the patient can no longer hear the sound, quickly place the fork closer to the ear canal and ask if the patient hears a vibration. Here the U of the fork should face forward, which maximizes sound transmission for the patient. Weber test. Set the tuning fork into light vibration by briskly stroking it between the thumb and index finger or by tapping it on your forearm just in front of your elbow. Place the base of the lightly vibrating tuning fork firmly on the top of the patient head or on the mid forehead. Ask the patient hear the sounds on one side or both sides.
I'm Ankush Kumar and I'm second year medical student and my group is 9A and today my topic is neck, mouth and oropharynx.
First, inspect the lips, observe their colors and moisture, and observe any lump, ulcer, cracking, and scaliness. Watch for central cyanosis or pulper for anemia. Now, inspect the oral mucosa, look into the patient mouth and note any limp, ulcer, or scaliness. Watch for the central cyanosis or pulper anemia. Now, inspect the oral mucosa, look into the patient mouth with the good light or tongue bladder. Inspect the oral mucosa, color, ulcer, and white patches and moles. Now, inspect the gum and teeth. Color of the gums, which is normally pink, brown patches present especially but not exclusively in the dark skin individuals. Inspect the gums margins and interdental papillae for swelling and ulceration. Inspect the gums margins and interdental papilla for swelling and ulceration. Inspect teeth. Are any of their missing, discoloration, mishappening, or abnormal position to assist tooth or the facial pain or loss? Palpate the teeth for looseness and the gums with your gloves, thumbs, and index fingers. Now inspect the root of the mouth. Inspect the color of the soft palate and the hard palate. Now inspect the tongue and the floor of mouth. Ask patient to pull out his or her tongue with in test for the hypoglossal nerves, which is 12th cranial nerve. Note the color and the texture of the tongue. Inspect entire oral cavity, usually the sides and the surface of the tongue of the mouth area where cancer often develops. Note any white or redness area, nodules and ulceration. Wearing gloves, palpation or the listens. Ask the patient to protrude to the tongue with your right hand. Grab and the tip of the tongue with the squares cross. Now neck examination. Note its symmetry and any mask look for enlargement and the mandibular or the submandibular and note any visible lymph nodes. Palpate the lymph node using the pad of your index finger, middle finger, press gently, move the skin over the lined tissues. Feel from the submandibular nodes. Feel in the sequence of the pulling nodes. First, pre-auricular in front of the ear, tracking posterior auricular superficial to the mastoid process. Third, base of the skull posteriorly. Fourth, tonsillar mandibular. Fifth, submandibular. And sixth is submental in the midline. Now inspect the trachea and thyroid gland. Inspect the trachea for any deviation from its usual midline position. Then palpate for any region. Use your finger one side of the trachea and note this between the cladomastoid. Compare it with each side. Face should be symmetric.
Inspection. Stand behind the patient and note the shape of the chest and how the chest moves. Palpation. As you palpate the chest, focus on the area of tenderness, respiratory expansion, and fremitus. Identify tender areas. Carefully palpate any area where the patient reports pain or has visible lesions. Test chest expansion. Place your thumbs at about the level of the tender ribs with your fingers loosely grasping and parallel to the lateral rib cage. Ask the patient to inhale deeply. Watch the distance between your thumbs as they move apart during inspiration and feel for the range and symmetry of the rib cage as it expands and contracts. Tactile fremitus. When a person speaks, airflow from the lungs causes the vocal cords in the larynx to vibrate. Percussion. Percussion is one of the most important technique of physical examination. Percussion helps you establish whether the underlying tissues are air-filled, fluid-filled, or consolidated. Note that the thumb and second, fourth, and fifth fingers are not touching the chest wall. Auscultation. Position patient as in percussion. Place the diaphragm firmly against the chest wall to exclude as much extraneous noises as possible. Tell the patient to breathe a little deeper than usual with his mouth slightly open.
Position the patient in the bed at a 30-degree angle. Turn head slightly to the left. Place ruler 1 on the sternal angle and place ruler 2 at an exact right angle to ruler 1. Move ruler 2 up and down, maintaining horizontal position so that its lower edge rests at the top of the jugular distension. Vertical distance of the ruler 1 is the jugular venous pressure and add 5 cm to get the central venous pressure. Use the right thumb or the index and middle finger to palpate the carotid artery, but do not palpate simultaneously on both the sides. Locate the apex beat over the apical impulse. Place the finger pads of the second and third digits over the visualized apex beat and note its amplitude and rhythm. If the apex beat is not visible, palpate by laying the palmar aspect of the right hand within the vicinity of the usual location of the apex beat. Apply the palmar base of your fingers against the intercostal spaces parallel to the ribs to feel for thrills. In auscultation, place the diaphragm on the stethoscope over the apex and count the rate per minute. Describe the rhythm is regular or irregular. As you listen to the heart sounds, gently position your left index and middle finger on the carotid artery. The upstroke corresponds to S1, which is beginning of systole. The other sound is the S2. Place the diaphragm over the pulmonary wall area. Ask the patient to take a long deep breath towards the end of the inspiration. Listen for the splitting of S2. Ask the patient to lie on the left lateral decubitus position and listen for any possible S3 and S4 over the apex. Ask the patient to sit and start from the base over the aortic bone region and gradually to the pulmonary bone area and the apex.
Hi sir, I'm Mariwana Suttesi, MD. What is your name and age?
Ramogal 17.
Okay, first we are going to do abdominal examination. First we have to hand wash. Okay sir, extend the hand. Okay, turn the hand. Put the hand down. Okay, let's go to pulse. Okay, turn the side. Okay. Look at your eyes up. Okay. We are going to do the light palpation. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Last time, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Okay, next we are going to do the another one, deep palpation. Any pain?
No.
Okay. Deep breathe in, breathe out. Deep breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Done. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Okay. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Okay.
First inspection. Inspect the shoulder and shoulder girdle anteriorly, and then scapula and related muscles posteriorly. Note any swelling, deformity, muscle fasciculation. Looking for swelling of the joint. Palpation by palpating the bony contours and structures of the shoulder, and then palpate any area of pain. Begin medially at the sternoclavicular joint, and then from behind palpate the acromion, then coracoid process, greater tubercle bicipital groove, and tendon, and also subacromial and subdeltoid bursae. Now we are going to examine the range of motion. First, flexion. The patient instruction should be like raise your arms in front of you and over the head. And extension. The patient should be instructed like raise your arms behind you. Abduction. Patient should be instructed to raise your arm out to the side and over the head. For adduction, the patient should be instructed to cross your arm in front of your body. For internal rotation, the patient should be instructed to place one hand behind your back and touch your shoulder blade. For external rotation, the patient instruction should be raise your arm to the shoulder level and bend your elbow and rotate your forearm towards the ceiling. The patient arm across the chest. Ask the patient to touch the opposite scapula. If the patient touches the scapula from upward side direction, it touches the abduction and external rotation. If the patient touches the scapula from the lower side, it touches the adduction and internal rotation. Flex the patient's shoulder and elbow to 90 degrees with the palm facing down, then one on the forearm and one on the arm, and then rotate the arm internally. This compresses the tuberosity against the supraspinatus tendon and coracoid. Adjust the arms to 90 degrees and internally rotate the arms within the thumbs pointing down as like emptying a can. Ask the patient to resist as we go on, apply pressure to downwards on the arms. Inspection. Inspect the position of hands in motion for smooth natural movement. When the fingers are relaxed, they should be slightly flexed. The fingernail edges should be in parallel. Inspect both sides of the surface of the wrist and hand carefully. For swelling over the joints, note any deformity of the wrist, hands or finger bones. Observe the contrasts of the palm and also observe any thickening. Now we are going to palpate the wrist. The functions of which joint of finger flexes and interior muscles and joint of the hand. Towards the midline in ulnar deviation. Away from the palm to access the abduction. By tapping lightly over the course of medial nerve in the carpus tunnel.
Hello, my name is Amrita Kumari. I am a medical student. Today I will be examining your wrist and knees. May I know your name and age?
I'm the trainer from Moni. I'm 21 years old.
Okay, so if it's okay with you, can we proceed with the physical
Sure.
examination? Okay. So at first I will be examining your hand. Okay. May I see your hands, please? Okay. So I'm looking for any edema or any deformities. So I can't find any edema. No. All the fingers are fine. Okay. So now I will be palpating your radius and ulnar joints, and then I go further for the metacarpals and the carpals. So let me palpate the other hand too. Okay. Fine. So now we go with the motion of your hands. Okay. Can you place your hands like this? Maybe put it in a 90-degree position. Yeah. Put it downwards. Yeah. And then pull it upside. Yeah. That is fine. Thank you. You can put it down. And now again put it here. Now for ulnar deviation, away from the body. Yes. And towards your body. Yes. Thank you. Now you can rest. We start with the Tinner sign, which is done for the carpal tunnel syndrome. Keep your hand. Just relax it. And tell me if you feel any sensation in your second, third and fourth finger.
No, I don't feel any
Okay, fine. So again, if you feel any pain in your thumb, second, third and fourth finger, please let me know.
No.
Okay. May I do it with the second hand? Okay. Do you feel it?
No.
Okay. Do you feel it?
No, I don't feel it.
Okay, fine. Done. Now we'll do the phalanx test. You just have to put the back of your hands together and you have to tell me if you feel any tingling sensation in your second, third or fourth finger. Please do it. Push it. Yeah. Do you feel anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. Now we start with the knee examination.
We inspect the knee for any erythema, swelling or any deformities. Then we palpate and see if there is any tenderness. We palpate the medial and the lateral meniscus, followed by the tibiofemoral joint and the collateral ligaments. We also feel the boundaries of the joints.
Stop. So for testing the range of motion of the knees, please stand. So stand on one leg and bend the other knee. Now stretch your legs. Okay. Do the same with the other leg. Yeah, stretch it. Okay. Now can you please sit? So now swing your knee legs towards inside and now outwards. Okay. Now do the same with the other leg. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Now in the mathematics test, we lift it, then tibia to medially and then extend it. We repeat it with the other leg as well. Fine. The valgus test. We rotate the tibia laterally and push the knee to medially. Okay. We do it again. Rotate it laterally and push it medially. Okay. Now we start with the varus test. It's just the opposite of the valgus test. So here we move it medially and here push it away. We do it the same. Push it medially and then we go with the anterior drawer test first. Sit at the front. Pushing it. The Lachman test, we grab it and pull the tibia anteriorly. That's it.
My name is Dr. Ganesh. Today we are going to demonstrate cranial nerve examination. Here my patient. What is his name and age, please?
My name is Kumar Harinder. My age is 22.
We begin to cranial nerve 1 olfactory now. Now close your eyes. Smell. What is this?
Coffee.
Now we will do a second cranial nerve, optic nerve. Check visual acuity by Snellen chart. Hold this one eye and read this top to bottom.
E F E T O E L F E P E E C F.
Okay, second eye. Now read this.
E O Z L P A D E F C.
Visual field test, finger wiggle test. Now we will do third cranial nerve, oculomotor nerve. Now I will do convergence test. Now I will check levator palpebral muscles. Now I will examine cranial nerve 3, 4, 6, oculomotor, trochlear, abducens nerve. And now I will make the H pattern. You can follow. I will examine cranial nerve 5, trigeminal nerve, which is 3 parts: V1, V2, V3. V1 is ophthalmic, V2 is maxillary, or V3 is mandible. Check sensory function. Please close your eyes and tell me.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Okay, now I will check corneal reflex. This is blinking. So I will check motor function. Can you please smile? Can you repeat the jaw? Yeah, this jaw. Now I will examine lower extremities. Start with hip flexion and extension. This is hip flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Now I will do thigh abduction and adduction. Thigh adduction, thigh abduction. This thigh abduction. Now I will examine knee flexion or knee extension. This is knee flexion. This knee flexion. This knee extension. Yeah. Now I will examine foot dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. This is foot dorsiflexion and now plantar flexion. Yeah.
Now we are going to proceed with the trilingual nerve testing, which is maxillary, mandibular, and ophthalmic. So for this purpose, I am going to use this sharp blended pin on the facial surface to feel the sensation, and this cotton ball of facial expression and the facial sensation. So I am going to proceed. Going to ask the patient to close his eyes and notify me when he feels the sensation. Can you close your eyes? Now I am going to use the cotton ball to feel the sensation. Notify me when you feel the sensation. Okay. Proceed to corneal reflexes. Can you look up? I am use the cotton ball to touch the cornea. Now we will proceed with the motor function test. For this purpose, can you clench your mouth? That's your mouth. Checking the muscle tone. Now we are going to proceed to cranial nerve number 7, that is a facial nerve. For this purpose, I am going to use the two solutions, that is salt and sugar solution. To ask the patient to take out his tongue. You can see this anterior two-third area of the tongue is supplied by the facial nerve, that is cranial nerve number 7. I am going to put the solution of sugar and salt on this anterior side, so the patient can feel the taste and notify me. To drop the solution on the patient anterior two-third region. Salty. To drop another solution on the same side. Sweet. Now we are going to proceed to the motor function of the facial nerve. Facial nerve contribute to the facial expression while patient is smiling and frowning or sad. This all facial expression is contributed and controlled by the facial nerve. Now we are going to perform this test. Can you upside your eyebrow? Can you frown your face? Okay. Wrinkle your nose. This side. Close your eyes tightly. Can you show your teeth? Okay. Can you place a smile? We proceed to cranial nerve number 8 to test the vestibulocochlear test. Now for this purpose, I am going to test the whisper test. I am going to close one ear of the patient and maintain some couple of distance from the open ear and whispering some sound and ask the patient to repeat the sound. 67. Proceed to ring test. For this purpose, I am going to use the tuning fork of the 512. Try the tuning fork and place on the mastoid bone and ask the patient to hear and immediately place the tuning fork in the front of the ear and ask the patient to hear it. So now proceed with this. Proceed to the Weber test. For this, I am using the same tuning fork, that 5 and 12. The attack is going to perform the shoulder adduction. For this, elevate the shoulder up to 90 degree flexion and adduct to the horizontally at flexions of the elbow of the patient, and the forearms should be in the supine position and extension of the wrist up to 3 minutes. To the test of the elbow extension. For this purpose, the arm should be in a supinated position and ask the patient to flex his shoulder up to 90 degree and they fully extend the elbow.
वहाँ मुड़ा, जहाँ से मुड़ा तो मुड़ा, ओके बस उससे।
Good afternoon, sir. Yes. Myself, second year student Kuldeep, and I'm here to do a physical examination, OSCA, of cranial nerve 9, 10, 11, and 12. Are you comfortable, sir?
Yes, I'm comfortable.
Okay, so sir, can we start?
Yes, you can.
Okay, sir. So can I know your name?
Myself Indrajit.
And can I know why do you came? Is it just for the regular checkup or is there any kind of deformity?
No, just for the regular checkup.
Okay, sir. So sir, we will start. I have appointed for the cranial nerve of 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yes.
Okay, sir. So we will start with the cranial nerve, vagus nerve, and in this we will first start for the 9 and 10. They will supply the motor to 9 and 10. The test and they both are tested together and started by asking. Now we will start by asking them, can you swallow? Okay, so it's a very simple test as you can see, and so after that we will go to say letter A, E, I, O, U. These was the movement of the soft palate, and if there is any vision, there will be showing of these letters. So can you say A, E, I, O, U?
A, E, I, O, U.
Okay, it's just fine. And now you want to look at the movement of the palate when the patient says ah. You are expecting that the pharynx will rise equally and oral will stay in the middle of it. So for this you will require a tongue depressor and handle the patient. So can you start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Also, can you say ah by opening your mouth?
Ah.
Can you completely open your mouth?
Yes.
Okay. Now can you say ah again?
Ah.
If there is a lesion of the elbow deviate on the other side and the uvula is in the midline, so everything is normal. We will also test for the sensation of the palate by touching the palate and after the gap. Yeah. So gag effect is uncomfortable as you have seen, and but in our patient it's normal. So thank you, sir. Now after that we will move to the cranial nerve 12. Okay.
So now we are going to do the cranial nerve 12 examination. For this we are going to look for the tongue movement. First of all, we will inspect, as we already done, we will inspect the tongue if it's lying in the floor of the mouth or not. And we will inspect the patient's tongue protruded, looking for the asymmetry, atrophy or deviation from the midline. As our tongue should be in the midline, we will ask our patient to move the tongue on the either side.
Now we are going to start with the cranial nerve. Accessory nerve is formed by the cranial and spinal contribution. The cranial roots are functionally identical to the vagus nerve that we have covered in earlier. So now the spinal roots innervates the sternocleidomastoid and upper part of the trapezius muscles. Now diagnostic tests are available on this assessment, so clinical value is unknown. With the patient in sitting position, inspect the neck area for the atrophy. If no atrophy is apparent, ask him to stretch the shoulder and not let you push the shoulder down. This is assess the upper trapezius. And for the sternocleido, ask for the patient to rotate the head in both the directions against the resistance.